How do you design a pitch deck business model slide when you're talking to investors? Let's find out. All right, it's time to look at some examples. So let's take a look at some business model slide examples. In this video, more specifically, we're going to be looking at pitch deck slide examples that are more geared towards a business plan pitch deck or a kind of an investor pitch deck. And in the next video, I'll show you something that you can use more as a sales presentation business model. Now, as you can see from the previous videos, there are many elements that impact your business model. So the big question is, how do you put all this information on one slide? Because from a pitch deck perspective, you need to explain the big picture. So the question your slide needs to convey is, where will the money come from and what type of income can you generate? So you need to show your model on one slide, preferably in a visual format. So you need this information from a planning perspective as well. And if you want to apply for a loan, grant, or investment funding, you will need all this information. So here's an example of how you might represent your business model on a pitch deck. Now remember this pitch deck from the previous videos. It's the biocoal company with the patented technology, and they're able to turn forest residue into sustainable biofuel. Now the big question is, how do they make money? Can you guess? Well, you might be thinking that they make money by selling biocoal, and you would be correct. Biocoal is one of the products. However, when you take a look at their business model slide, you're going to see that they actually can generate different types of revenue. So they can create 4 product types out of this biomass. They can create biocoal. They can create something called activated biochar, which is used for other use cases. Wonder Terra Prata also has another use cases. Oil extraction. So when the trees are heated up and they're turning them into coal, there's an oil that's extracted that can be used for pharmaceutical and the beauty industry as well. They've got that. And they also have a 5th revenue stream, technology licensing. That's because they own the patent, which means if any other company wants to model them, they have to pay them a fee so that they can use, so that they can create a similar solution. So when you add everything up, they have 5 possible income streams, 4 physical products and 1 licensing solutions. And at the top, you can see other important details. They can get free access to material, which is important, and that is the key resources. Remember, we were asking that question in the business model Canva. What are the key resources you need to get that job done? So in this particular case, they have the free resources. All they have to do is use their patented technology and convert it into something very valuable. So this diagram also answers an important question. Well, will they ever run out of forest residue, which is the material they need to create the product? Well, the answer is probably not in the near future, as long as there's logging activities going on, and as long as we have climate change and many of the trees are drying, then there's going to be an excess supply of material that they can use. So if you look at the business model from this view, you'll notice that they make money through services, products, and licensing. So they have 3 different revenue streams and 3 possible types of income. Now, they have to actively bring the forest residue and work on it to create that product. So creating their product involves their time, which means they are making an active income. So it takes up their time and some of their resources as well to create that product. So in a way, it's also a mix of a product and a service, because there could be some landowners, or it could be some areas where they were not really planning on getting the fiber from, but it could be that the landowners might pay them and say, you know what, come and take this excess fiber from my land or create that product for me as well, which means that they could also be offering that service for people who need that. And now both of these options create an active income which has limitations, which means the more they want to sell, the more they have to make, which involves their time and effort. But the biggest winner here really is the licensing. Licensing can generate either passive or residual income depending on the type of agreement that they have. Now, this is easy money that does not involve any time. The technology and patent are ready, so no further work is needed other than to find and negotiate new contracts. So if they want to ever decrease their load and simplify their business model, they can stop creating products themselves and focus on the licensing. They can license their technology to other companies that are willing to do the manual work themselves. So going back to this business model slide, you can see that most of these products are directed to B2B, which is business to business activities, and can generate repeat sales. So once they get the customer, it means that they're going to be able to hold on to them for a long time. They are industrial products needed to generate power and other cosmetic and pharmaceutical products. So the lifetime value of the customer is huge. And the same with the licensing technology. There's a very low return rate because once someone gets a license, they will be holding on to it for a long time, at least until the patent expires or maybe they run out of wood or material in their particular location. Now, here's another example from a new investment fund. That's why in this business model slide, we used a visual to represent where will the money come from. Now, this was a new startup and they still did not have exact numbers and they did not want to reveal all the details. So we needed to show a visual of where most of the income will come from. So in this case, it is B2B. B2B is the biggest segment of the market, but we did not put any percentages. So right away, you can tell from the visual that there's a big income potential because B2B usually has a big transaction. It also shows 3 streams of revenue. So you are more likely to create a balance and stability. When one source of income is not generating enough, there's 3 possible sources of income. Plus the B2B technology licensing. Now, technology licensing will generate passive and residual income with minimal work. So a simple diagram that shows a business model with huge potential. And all we had to say was put integrated portfolio delivers repeatable and scalable solutions with high profit margins, so we can help people focus on exactly what we're trying to communicate here, enough to get some people interested. Now, if they're interested, they can book a meeting with the company and get more details. We don't want to reveal any more information on the business model slide. Now, here's another business model for another startup. They still don't have any numbers, so they did not want to show investors any specific numbers, but they wanted to show them where the money could come from. So in this particular case, you can see there's 2 possible income or revenue streams. So they've got the on-prem, which means on-premises solutions, and that would be a software license for on-premises solutions, ideal for big clients. So big clients who have the budget, they can get a license so that they can use their technology on-premises. Now they have a second solution, which is a cloud solution, which means that they can access it through the computer, through the cloud, and that is geared more as a subscription plan for small and medium-sized businesses. So now when you take a look at both income streams, they're both very attractive because you've got the licensing and you've got the subscription model. So both can generate passive and residual income. Now, this type of business model is very attractive to investors. So if you have any specific numbers and historical data, you can use a chart. You can put numbers. For example, you'll find many templates on the market that look like this. So you can say 62% of our income comes from B2B energy solutions, 23% from B2C energy, 15% comes from licensing. So you can break it up if you already have these numbers without revealing the actual numbers. Because for many companies, when they're still starting out, the actual numbers could be confidential. So you need to find creative ways where you can get that attention without revealing too much details. You can reveal the details during your subsequent meetings. Now, if you have a membership-based model, like we did for PhilConnect, we used the pricing plan. So this is the pricing plan that we had on the website, which could come in handy if you're using it as a sales presentation. But when you're talking to investors, they might not need to know all the little details, so you can simplify it. You can use the same thing and you can say our business model. So really you're showing is you have a freemium plan, which means this is how you get people a customer acquisition. You get them by giving them a free offer. And once people are in the system, now they have an option to upgrade. And once they upgrade, they get more features. So they can upgrade to professional if they're an individual, or if they're a team, they can upgrade to an enterprise plan. So this is how you might communicate that on a pitch deck. Now, here's another diagram that tells a big story, even though it looks like a simple diagram. So you can see story number 1 is on the left. Now, on the left, it shows that they can acquire a customer at a low cost, which means that they will have less advertising cost. And on the right, we have the customer lifetime value story. Now, this was an actual slide from a confidential client project, so I had to take out some of the details and just plug in some generic content, but it is the same layout. And you can still see that they have multiple offers. So they have an opportunity for upsell, they have an opportunity for cross-sell, they have ongoing income with membership fees. So there are many options to increase the lifetime value of the customer. They also make income from referral, partnership, and affiliate programs. So they can make multiple streams of active, passive, and residual income. A lot of things are mentioned here. Simple diagram that conveys so much details of the factors that we talked about earlier. Now, another common template you might find on the market looks something like this, where you have placeholders to say where, what type of income does your business make. So you can say, in this case, 3 streams with 75% reoccurring revenue, which means it's a reoccurring membership you are getting into your business, and you can just plug in where your money is coming from. I've seen some clients keep it very simple and they just use a list. So if you don't want to reveal too much information, you can just say we have 4 income revenue streams. You can put some details about them, even if you don't want to put any numbers or percentages. I've also seen some services company use slides like this one. This was changed a little bit, but a client of mine used something similar to say key revenue streams. Advisory fees would be one of them, which is a service. Intellectual property, which can generate passive or residual income, and they have speaking engagements, which is another service and active income. Now, here's another example of a business model slide from AirBnB. Now, I'm pretty sure you know who AirBnB is, and this presentation is available publicly now, so I'm able to use it in this particular training. So for their business model, they created the slide, which is slide number 7 on the right. So you can see here they said it's a simple slide. It said we take 10% commission on each transaction. So they used the market size. They said their market share, which they estimate to be $10.6 million, is on the left, and then they expect that from each one of the users they could get about $20, and based on that number they were estimating that they could make $200 million a year. So this is where having that market slide could come in handy when you're showing your investors the potential of the income. Now, this is all speculation when you're starting out, but now you can see how you can tie the market size into your business model to tell a better story. So in this particular case, they started out with 1.9 billion. They were saying total trips booked in a particular year. And the serviceable available market, they looked for a market of people who booked specifically budget trips, or they booked online. They said this is our ideal customer. And then they made an estimate based on these numbers, how much do they expect they could capture from that market? And they said, well, we expect about 10.6 million would book with us. So that was their estimate. And on their slide deck, they had slide number 5, which is the market share. Slide number 6, they talked about the product, and then they revealed their business model. So you can see here how many people mix and match on the storyboard. But the main component here is that you create these slides, and then as you're working on the editing and when you're customizing to fit different audiences, you can shuffle the order around. Now, looking back at this slide, you can see here that they were estimating they would make 200 million. Now, we all know that Airbnb is a big success story. They went on to make over 400 million by 2014, and now they're making billions of dollars every year. Now, if you go to their website, you'll notice that they still charge a fee, but now they're charging more. They're charging 3% to the host and about 14% to the guest. So they had to increase that commission number, even though they're making billions of dollars a year. Now, the reason they needed to raise that is because they provide 24-hour customer support. They also they do all the marketing. So people who own the property, once they list it on Airbnb, Airbnb takes care of marketing that property for them. They also provide them insurance. They provide educational resources. So there's a reason why they're charging these fees. So this is where they're factoring in. They had to factor in how much does it cost us to bring in the customer, how much does it cost us to service the customer with the customer support, and then they came up with the pricing plan, which was a commission. So now you can see the big picture and how all of these elements really impact everything that you decide to put on your slide. So now go through the list and pick the ones that will add the most value to your audience. Now you can always add supporting content to your appendix. You don't need to put everything in the business model slide. Keep it visual and high level. And then once if people start asking you more questions, you can start revealing more details to them based on their needs. So your action item for this section introduction really is to start creating your business model slide. So use one or more of the following elements to explain your business model: revenue stream, product category, type of income, business transaction, lifetime value, customer acquisition. So if you're not sure, watch this video again and look at the examples and pick a slide layout that can work for you. I'll also leave all of these slide layouts for you in the template. So open the PowerPoint template and you can pick one of these layouts as a starter just to get started. As you get market feedback, you can change the slide around. And of course, you can create multiple slides and use them for different applications. So go ahead, get started, and I'll see you in the next video.